Hi everyone, and I'm here with Made in Heaven's makers. So my first question for all of you all is, web series obviously gives you more time to delve into characters, but does that change anything for you when you're directing, writing for it?
No, I mean, the biggest change for me when I was directing for it was I realized that you have to cover a lot more pages in much less time. So if you're doing a feature and you're doing 2 pages a day, in terms of coverage, here you're doing 6. You have to really move, otherwise you're never going to cut a budget. Besides that, I mean, it also trains you, because you want to keep that same standard of quality. You want to keep the same cinematic vision that you have even on a movie.
It's a problem that Zoya and me have. We overwrite. So I think this long format is really good for us. But it does give you the freedom to really develop your characters and your storylines and your plot and your subtext or whatever, your layers. It does give you the space to do that. But at the same time, it is challenging because you're kind of squeezing in 3 feature films in terms of the amount of time shot.
So I'm guessing there are like 2 central characters and there are a lot of stories revolving around them. Would you like to tell us what is happening over the period of like 9 episodes?
Well, it's a story of 2 wedding planners. It's set in Delhi. As the show progresses, we sort of go into the internal journeys of the 2 characters. But each episode also has like an episodic story about a wedding. So it's really interesting because, you're with characters for like the entire space of the show. But also within each episode, you're constantly meeting new characters, which is like a lot of fun. And really seeing what goes on behind, these weddings which are fixed and these marriages which supposedly are made in heaven.
You've written Gold and now you're writing for Made in Heaven. Does the process for you change in any way when you're writing for a film?
I mean, the concept changes, the kind of research you do depending on your subject changes. The subject can be different, but our process is pretty much the same. We spend a lot of time talking, a lot of time researching. We tend to put down a story and then we move on to screenplay. So that remains the same for us. But what was different this time was there was a 3rd writer, the wonderful Alankrita. And it was fab writing with these 2.
And since so many minds were on board, were there disagreements and were there times when you just agreed to disagree or you just came to a conclusion?
No, I think that the way it was set up in the beginning was very interesting because Zoya and Reema, who created the show, I mean, they got Akhtar on board, and I think the minute we all met, and I was show running, the minute we all met, we were pretty much on the same page.
And speaking of censorship, like, did you feel like absolutely liberated this time, especially you?
Well, yeah, considering lipstick was banned, I'm that type. I mean, I think because we live in India, there's always a certain level of, you know what you're sort of doing. But I think it's great to have a platform, like a streaming platform like Amazon to work with, because you really don't have to think, think about what you can do, what you cannot do, etc. So I think that it is definitely very liberating. And at the same time, I think like we're all very responsible in terms of whatever you're only going to show what is needed for the story, etc. So, but I think it was fun. We didn't have to censor our thoughts.
I definitely see and feel a need for certification, not censorship. Because, I mean, you are living in a space and you don't want children to watch certain kinds of content. And you do need certification. So you need something that will say this is adult, or this is PG-13, or this is, or you need a parental guidance here, or this is universal. So you need certification. I completely am for that. But censorship is when you're telling adults that they are not fit enough to view this content, which I don't agree with, because I think that's a choice. When you go to the cinema, you either pay for it or not. And as an adult today, you can watch, everything is available. Right. So why are we in that censorship? So that I think that's where I stand on it.
In a democratic country, there is no space for censorship. I think it's crazy that in India today you get a film also has to adhere to certain censor cuts and things like that. Basically, you're saying that even this adult is not capable of processing this or should not be allowed to watch it. That there is no space for this in a democratic country. And I think a lot of commissions have been formed. The last one was Shyam Benegal's, where they do recommend that we end censorship and we come up with a certification. And I hope at some point the government will stand up and look at this, because I think it affects the quality of art. It does affect the quality of work.
Right. My final question is, in terms of the audience, do you feel like when you're making content for web series, you have a certain set of audience that you're catering to.
I mean, if you've seen my films, you know that I'm really not making it for a wide audience. If you see it, I just write what I write. What is liberating is that you know that you can write and it won't be censored. That's liberating for me.
I think in this interview also we got a little sense of what might have gone on the process of making Made in Heaven. Thank you so much for speaking with us, ladies.
Thank you.